She's a fucking delight. Trial watching, trials and tribulations. It's Camp Shorty calling all nations. What are you drinking? Shall we skip this part? Left or right-handed? Shit, she slid it to the start. She's a fucking professional. Yo, goddammit. You're muted, what? And daring, it's iconic. Cheese breaks, fake breaks, staying hydrated. It's Shorty time. She's a fucking delight. Psychology corner. Let's learn about stuff. New Miss Shorty music. Calling their bluff. Best chat, best community. We've got the best mods. A safe, supportive sanctuary full of fun and love. Rock out with your cats down. Curse all you want. And here at Camp Shorty, we even say cunt. She's a fucking professional. Yo, goddammit. You're muted, what? And daring, it's iconic. Cheese breaks, fake breaks, staying hydrated. It's Shorty time. She's a fucking delight. Hey, Shorties, what's doing, y'all? Get in here, Shorties. Let's fucking go. Camp Shorty. Camp Shorty. Camp Shorty. Camp Shorty.
Hi, Shorties. Oh my God. Hi, Shorties. Hi, Shorties. Good to see you. I should just do my normal thing, huh? Yikes, though. Poppy's here. She's doing her normal thing. I'm going to say hello, everyone, as a group. Hello. Okay. Because we have one very special, someone we've spent quite some number of hours watching in the courtroom, watching him do his thing. Yes, I have my special I'm speaking to Joe Tacopina shirt on today. So I'm looking all official and stuff. Buster's here. He's going to say hi. Hi, Buster. So we'll say a proper hello and a debrief afterwards, right? Poppy, for goodness sake. I'm trying to be professional. They don't know that Joe Tacopina's backstage. They just think it's time to go live. Let's be live. Here, let's have a treat for the dogs. And then without further ado, here you go. One for you. One for you. Okay, thank you. Bye. So, Mr. Joe Tacopina, you might know him as Mr. Flexback. I'm sorry, Joe. It's just a thing. Attorney, victorious attorney for A$AP Rocky. He has quite the slew of other impressive high-profile clients in his resume. A whole lot of stuff. The dogs do know the routine, Pokemon. Yes, thank you for being here. Shall we give Joe Tacopina a very warm welcome? Wait, but then he's not going to be here. Wait, there we go. Hi, Joe. Good to see you.
See you too.
Thank you so much for yes. I'm going to tell you how it went down. I was making a thumbnail on my phone, and suddenly a banner across my phone said a Gmail from Joe Tacopina, and I went, no. And then I looked, and it was a big yes. So thank you for reaching out. All of my shorties here are saying hi. So there's a big resounding hi from Camp Shorty. We spent hours watching you through the A$AP Rocky trial. How are you feeling at the end of that?
Yeah, look, the same way I feel at the end of every trial, which is exhilarating. I mean, obviously it was a great win, very emotional for him, for me, for all of us, but also exhausted. exhausted beyond exhaustion. When you do a trial like that, especially a 5-week trial, and Lisa really seriously just sleep like 2 hours,
Yes.
if that. And then every day is especially in that case, was a constant war, a battle, with that prosecutor, with Lewin, who
Oh,
just every day had a new whining complaint every day into the courtroom. And it was such a personal thing. It really was not, there was no pleasantries going in there every day. So it took a lot. Obviously the end result made it all worthwhile. And I knew that was going to happen, but it was draining. It was draining. And now, I'm right back in the saddle and on to other things.
so you say you knew that was going to happen. I mean, obviously from a peanut gallery, from our point of view, it would have been an outrageous result if the jury had come to any other decision other than not guilty on both counts. Was there some element at all, some level of concern for you that maybe they wouldn't, or no, you were absolutely positive?
Look, this is my 120th jury trial. I used to be a prosecutor. I've done defense work now for a long time. And I got to tell you, you never know with a jury. It's like reading tea leaves when you try and, but I also know how the case went in. I know that we eviscerated their only complaining witness in this case, right? This Reli guy was, he was what I call a glorious train wreck. There was no meat left on the bone there. I mean, it was totally rendered incredible. Their case detective became our best witness. He helped us.
Yes.
So
Yes.
exactly. So there was really nothing there that made me think they came close to proving this case beyond a reasonable doubt. And I was confident about that. And then at the end of my summation, when I put up those 10 questions, which were questions that were unanswerable, but if they were able to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt, they should have been able to answer them simply, clearly, articulately, convincingly. And I said, they'll do that if they've proven their case. But if they haven't proven their case, if the case is transparent, they'll ignore them. And sure enough, Lewin played right into my hand and ignored them. And I saw the jury writing, those questions down. So when that happened, to me, it was pretty good. And what you guys didn't see on television was the jury. And so when I'm to that jury for 5 hours plus, and they're on the edge of their seats for 5 hours plus, I know I'm connecting with them. At the end, there was an emotional moment for me, which happens at times when I, thank the family for putting their trust in me, or when I looked and, thank the client, Rocky in this case. And I turned around to look at Rihanna and thank her, the family. And I see her bawling, like she was just crying. And it hit me like I wasn't ready for that. And it just got me where I had a lump in my throat and I couldn't really speak for about 30 seconds. And I looked at a jury and they could see what was going on with me. And 2 of the jurors started welling up and crying. And that's a good thing. When you have that interaction with a jury and when they're feeling that emotion, it's a good thing. So that being said, you still never know. All right.
Right.
But when you have 4 weeks of testimony and you have a 3-hour verdict in a case like this, there's no question. It's most likely a defense verdict. Okay. That's just the way it goes. We all thought that. So when they came back with a 3-hour verdict, which I later learned was about a 30-minute verdict, I spoke to many jurors now, and they were 11-1 within the first minute of deliberations. First minute, 11-1. There was one juror who wanted to hear a little more, and went back and forth. Wow. They had a defense exhibit. They had lunch. That took a nice hour and 20 minutes, and then they have a verdict. So it was really a short deliberation. That was a quick verdict. So the system worked. But the only time, I got to be honest with you, I'll tell you a funny story. The time I was truly worried, the only time was during the reading of the verdict, during the deliberation, or during when the jury came out. And the judge did something that's never happened to me before. And I love Judge Arnold. He's a great guy.
We do too.
He took the verdict forms. And look, I knew he liked Rocky, and I thought he appreciated our case. And he got the verdict forms first. And he looked at the verdicts and he frowned in a particularly very, animated way. Thank you, Lisa. Animated way. And I saw the frown on his face. I was like, that's weird. Why would he be making that face? And then he did something that's never happened to me before, which is he said, have the jury confirm this verdict. Now, that only happens normally after the verdict is read.
Yes.
Confirm a verdict after it's read, number one. Number two, You only, and then this is 120 jury trials and ever tried cases in courts throughout the country. You only have a jury confirm a verdict upon a guilty verdict. When there's a not guilty, the jury doesn't need to confirm the verdict. It's not guilty.
No.
But when you're convicting somebody of a serious crime, you want to see the jurors confirm and stand by that verdict. Dogs are adorable, by the way.
They're torture.
No, they're the best. Dogs are the best. But anyway,
Yeah.
so when he said confirm that verdict and he looked all perplexed, there was a moment, my wires in my head were just not, figuring
Right.
what's going on here. I was a little confused. I looked at my partner, Chad, and I said, Chad, what's going on? Why are they doing this
What
here? You asked Sarah, our local attorney, our local counsel. I said, ask Sarah if this is what they do here. I see Chad lean over to Sarah, and I'm watching this like very carefully, and I see her shake her head vigorously. No. She goes, no, they don't do this here. And I just can't process right now, Lisa. The wires in my brain are just like crisscrossing and everything's going on.
Right.
Rocky is picking up this vibe, and he whispers into my ear. He goes, "Oh shit!" I grabbed him. I said, "No, it's cool. I'm thinking, I'm holding him just in case something crazy.
Yes, we saw.
But I'm thinking, who's holding me? Like, because I'm. But I just like, I cannot believe this. How could this be? And I'm looking at the jury, and they were all, there was no, emotion coming out of their faces. And they looked dead serious, and they were confirming that verdict. And I was like, oh boy, like, how could this be? Like in less than 3 hours. And then they give it to the clerk, Alex. And he reads it, and he says, it goes to the announcement of the name of the case, the state of California, the indictment number. Then he says,
agonizing.
Find the defendant, Rakim Mayers. And he stops. And I'm like, watching him now. At this point, I can't even take it anymore. I'm like, did he have a stroke? What's going on? He stopped. He did that for effect. Then we hear not guilty. Boom. And then Rocky's gone. And then still another count. And I'm still staring at him, waiting for that second count. And then it was a second not guilty count. But I said to the judge subsequently,
sir, excuse me, sir.
What's that all about? And he said, no. I read the verdicts. I get the verdicts confirmed before the reading of the verdict, because once I had a gang case where a defendant got so upset when they were convicted, they threw the table upside down in the courtroom. And one of the jurors was so horrified. She said, no, that's not my verdict. She was scared. I said, okay, I get that, I guess. I get that. So he confirms the verdict first, so then the jurors can't later subsequently say, no, it wasn't my verdict. I said, but okay, that part I understand. I've never seen that before, but I get it. But what about the thing about confirming a verdict and not guilty verdict? That's never done. It's not procedural. He goes, no, I've never done that before. Were you in the courtroom yesterday when you did that? Like, what do you mean you didn't do it before? It was like, I was just playing with you. I was like, oh my God. Because if you see that video, and I've watched that part of the video where the jury has the verdict sheet and they're confirming it, and I'm just not processing it because it's never happened to me before. So I'm thinking something's wrong here. You see the whole defense table. I'm swaying back and forth like Rain Man or something. I'm just like rocking. has this frown on his face. Rocky's just frozen. Sarah Kaplan looks like she saw a ghost. It's just it was not. It was a scary few minutes, I will tell you. That's why it made it even more, I think, exhilarating when that happened.
Yes. Shall we watch that exhilarating moment? Just because I have a little clip of not the torturous 12 minutes. It felt like it was so long. I was listening. I was at work and listening through Justice Serve TV, our friends Justice Serve TV, and everyone was like, it already was a delay. Apparently, it was going to be 2 hours between announcing there'd been a verdict ready to be read and actually coming into court, and then Judge Arnold did this, and everyone was like, and we're just spectators. I can't imagine how ridiculously stressful it must have been for you all. But let me see if I can find this. Of course, I've always got. There we go. Make sure I've got us on the screen here. Yes, wait. So it's just the last little bit. We don't have to watch the agony.
Good.
And I think I've got Poppy. Please stop panting in my ear. Poppy. She's very enthusiastic, my Poppy. Here we go.
The Los Angeles Superior Court, County of Los Angeles.
Listen to the pause.
The State of California versus Rakim Mayers. Case number BA 508142-01. We, the jury in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Rakim Mayers, not guilty of the
So good, Joe. I was crying. We were crying. We were all crying. We were so happy for you all.
So that was the
And then the
first
second
submission.
count. Yeah.
Hold it down. Verdict has to be read on count.
You explained to him there's another count.
Repeat again.
Round,
Yes.
please.
Jury, above any type of actions, find the defendant, Rakim Mayers, not guilty of the
That's count one still. Everyone's confused. We're still in the first count.
Section 245, subsection B, a felony, charging count one of the information.
It was
18th
beautiful.
February
Such an amazing moment. You must have felt so relieved.
Right.
There's one more count.
We, the jury, in the above type of action, find the defendant, Rakim Mayers, not guilty of the crime of assault, firearm,
Then I said to him, now it's over.
violation of penal code section.
Yeah.
225.
Oh my goodness. It's
A felony,
just such an
charging
amazing
count one of the
moment.
information, the
That's
state,
Sarah there in the
February
background.
2025.
Yes.
Sarah Kaplan,
And
lady
Chad.
straight ahead.
During this
Congratulations.
trial, I watched you.
Congratulations. That was just a beautiful moment. And you know, the sheer elation of Rocky jumping over the barricade to give Rihanna a hug. I was like, oh my goodness, he's gonna crush her.
I know. That was surreal. That whole thing was surreal. I mean, the whole trial was surreal. I mean, the near fights with this prosecutor, this lunatic prosecutor. I mean, everything was just this case was really made for TV. I will tell you that. That's for sure.
Yes, it was entertaining. You showed such restraint, Joe. I know I said that in my question to you that that Linda and Michael presented to you, but how hard was that? Because I you know, that was it was rather improper, his behavior, and didn't help that he's got some hearing issues, so everything was a yell.
Everything was
Very yelly.
Yeah. It was hard. It was hard. I've never listened. I don't mind hard charges and opponents that are going to fight as hard as I fight. And I do fight hard, and I don't pretend I don't, but I never make it personal. And I don't whine about every little thing. And this guy, I mean, was so offensive in so many ways to me. I mean, first of all, objecting 34 times during my summation. I didn't object once during theirs. And this is objectionable stuff. But to me, the summation's argument. The jury understands, right, what's argument. I also am loath to object before a jury because I don't want a jury to think I'm afraid of something. The jurors want information. They want to hear things. The more I shut down information, the more they think I'm afraid of something or I'm hiding something. Lewin did that constantly throughout this case. And I will tell you, the jurors I spoke to all said the same thing. They had such distaste for him and his conduct and his, you know, his constant objecting. They were offended by it. And you know, some of the things he did offended them. I mean, one juror told me that, you know, Lewin has this habit. It was weird. I was watching it. I never look at a jury during the trial. I just don't look at them because, one, I don't want to make them uncomfortable, but more importantly, I don't want to look at them and say, ooh, I don't like their face, or I like their face, and I start adjusting what I'm doing based on a face that means absolutely nothing. It means absolutely nothing. So I don't want to look at a jury. I don't, because I just want to do what my mission is. I know what my mission is. I don't want to change it based on a frown or a smile. He constantly stared at the jury. It was sort of weird to me. One juror said that he thought Lewin was trying to intimidate him by staring at him, intimidate him. And so his conduct between the yelling, the constant objections, and they didn't even see half of it. They didn't even see the stuff when they were out of the room where he was.
I know.
Right. Violation. I mean, that was the pot calling the kettle black, if I've ever seen it before. But at the end of the day, look, he even got to that. I've never seen a judge shut down a prosecutor, yell at a prosecutor the way this judge did, because he was yelling at him. He was yelling at the judge. And the judge's like, don't you yell at me. Don't talk to me. You want to keep arguing? And it's like, normally that's reserved for defense attorneys. Normally the judge is coming down defense lawyers. I've not seen that in a trial that I've been involved in. So he did not do himself any favors at all.
Do you think that, I mean, this would only be speculation, but do you think that the fact that he was brought in late, very late, I mean, it was a stinker of a case, Joe, like it should have never been brought to trial. Do you think that he was overcompensating? I mean, and with all respect to Lewin, your charisma and your physique and your court presence is so much more endearing or impressive than his as well. Do you think he was just a little man, kind of overcompensating for a stinky case, and you being who you are?
I think the me being who I am part, many people have told me that I got under his skin. He's used to find cases where he bullies lawyers. He bullies lawyers, and you can see that. He just doesn't stop talking, and he just talks through you. He interrupts, and he doesn't stop. There's nothing he could say. I mean, he squeezes the most amount of words into the least amount of thought of any human being I've ever seen. He will talk for 20 minutes, and there's really nothing being said, but he does it constantly. And so he bullies lawyers. And when we first came into this case, Sarah Kaplan was the first one to say, "Oh no, he's horrible. He's going to bully you. He's unethical. He's all this." Okay. Then I got calls from lawyers. I mean, lawyers I didn't even know, saying, "Be careful. This guy's not a straight shooter. He's unethical. He's whatever." Then I got calls from inside the district attorney's office. 2 people from inside the DA's office called me and said, "Watch out for this guy." Okay.
Wow.
And so I was like, yeah, whatever. That doesn't faze me. I'm from New York. Nobody's phasing me. And I laughed when they asked me that outside in the press. They said, "Are you concerned that Lewin's trying?" Because he was supposedly their big prosecutor who tried the Durst case. And I literally laughed. I didn't mean to laugh, but I laughed. I said, I don't care who they bring on this case. Have the DA come and try it too, for all I care. They thought this was the greatest case ever. They didn't think this was a stinker. Oh yeah, because they have a video.
How?
They have a videotape of Rocky holding what appears to be a gun. They have a scene on the other side with clearly is 2 sounds of 2 shots, right?
Yes.
And they have a witness, and they thought that's it. Videotape with a gun, 2 shots. Clearly, the sound from the Nest cam was 2 shots. Of course, it was from a prop gun, but whatever. It's a starter pistol, makes the same sound. And they have a witness. So they thought this was the strongest case ever. And Lewin kept saying, he's not going to take a plea. He's not going to take a plea. I was like, no, he's not going to take a plea. He's facing all this time. He's facing all this jail time, and we're offering him nothing. I said, great, John. Thanks. We got it. We understand. So anyway, it was we were confident in this case. They were confident in their case, but they missed it. And what we did on summation was a bludgeoning. Really, it was a bludgeoning. It was a 5.5-hour bludgeoning of their case, because what we do on summation is we build a record during the trial, and we don't bust everything out during the trial. We build our record. And on summation, it's like rope-a-dope. Like if anyone's a boxing fan, they know Muhammad Ali used to basically look like he was getting pummeled on the ropes, and then he'd unload. This, I'm telling you, is what we do. It's a rope-a-dope. So we basically line things up for summation, then we blast them. Where's the metadata for the bullets? I mean, that was something easy to get. You had a picture of him from his cell phone. The easiest thing to get. You take a picture right now. If any picture on your cell phone, you will have metadata where that photo was taken. They didn't retrieve that. They could have gotten the GPS for his phone to see where he was. They didn't get that. They could have had the flight information to determine if he really came back and forth or he stayed in LA where he had those 9mm shell casings. They didn't do that. All those little things that I never raised during the trial, we pounded them in summation, and I made a list of all the things they didn't corroborate Reli with. The most incredible witness maybe ever, and they didn't do things to corroborate him. So how did they expect to overcome that? And it was, to me, it was shocking that they were so confident in this case.
But I don't understand how, like, for us in Camp Shorty, the fact that he Reli wanted to pursue a civil case and then went the criminal route. That's the chronology of it, right? Surely the prosecutor, the district attorney goes, "Yikes! That feels like a grab for money and looking for some criminal sort of reinforcement to be able to pursue it civilly." No, the DA doesn't think of it like that.
They should have. Right? You think so? You would think they would have.
Right?
When you file a $30 million lawsuit for knuckle scrapes, $30 million. I mean, for knuckle scrapes.
We have an emote in the chat that's basically the picture of a Band-Aid and 30 mil. Like we do. It's wild. Those little knuckle grazes.
And then he claims permanent disability. I asked him, what permanent disability do you have? He goes, none. I said, oh, you just put that in your lawsuit as a sworn fact. But the whole joke about that thing was, it's not even just that. It's that he was trying to sell. He didn't care about the criminal case. He made that clear on those Wally cases that everyone thought, oh, was so good for the prosecution. How was that good for the prosecution? We brought that in. It showed this guy was saying that he was saying that the fake tapes were real. That's perjury. He perjured himself in front of that jury. That moment is when the jury said, done. many jurors said when he said that tape was fake, they didn't want to hear another word he had to say. They knew it wasn't fake. And then we had to bring in Wally to prove it. But what those tapes said, so what? He told that same story over and over again. But Rocky was already arrested. So of course he was telling the story that he filed the lawsuit on, that Rocky shot at him. It was what he said on there was amazing, which was, give me 30 million, I'll disappear to an island somewhere. The DA will never be able to find me. So he was trying to sell a criminal case for $30 million. That's extortion. And
Yes.
that to me was offensive. And if the district attorney is not preparing a criminal indictment against Terell Ephron, they are showing their true colors, that they don't care about justice. They just wanted their side to win. And for Terell Ephron, who's admitted perjury on the witness stand, he admitted perjury. He got caught in perjury. I mean, we're talking about a dozen times in this case. And now I showed them evidence of extortion via that tape. I mean, what are they waiting for? Why is he not locked up? There's real evidence. It's his own words. It's own words. But, you know, they won't. They won't.
No. About Reli, I was personally affronted by his posturing when he was on the witness stand, when he was sitting, slouching, when he was leaning on his elbows on his knees. He was so insolent and vile to your the local attorney, Sarah.
Oh no, that was
Is
Ellie.
that-
That was a young
Oh, okay.
associate who brought a computer up, the
Yes.
Wally tapes to show him, and he shooed her away, and she was like, she got a
Oh.
little nervous. She was just a 25-year-old kid, and basically he just like, you get that away from me. She was like, I turned around, I was walking to the podium, and she's walking back. I'm like, what happened? You know? And he's like, you know, he shoot her away. He goes, that's fake. I'm like, it's fake. How long did you listen? 3 seconds? He's like, well, you weren't counting. You were at the podium. I said, well, I can count
Oh.
1, 2, 3. 3 seconds it took me to walk to the podium. So you listened to that tape for 3 seconds and you knew it's fake. Instead, he knew what was on that tape, which was death.
Yes.
And, but you know, it's funny on direct examination, when the prosecutor was asking questions, he was all like humble and normal and straight. The minute I got up, his body language changed. You know, he got all tough. He actually did a muscle flex at one point. Please. He threw a water bottle, you know, on the
Right?
He cursed in a courtroom. I mean, this is the guy who's supposed to be non-aggressive on the street, but in a courtroom with a judge, a jury, you know, with courtroom
Cameras.
deputies, with bailiffs and cameras,
Mm.
he's acting like a violent perp, and you know, he
Mm.
couldn't hold it together. And so he was, I swear to you, he's the worst witness I've ever seen in my life. Many other people said that in that courtroom, inside the well of the courtroom also. So many people said this case is over once he was done.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you said that, because my next question was going to be: have you ever had a witness, whether it's the alleged victim of a shooting or whatever, be so revolting on the stand? But no, just so rude and arrogant. But he didn't want to be there either. Sir, this is for
He
you.
just
This
wanted
is
his
all for
30
you.
million. He just wanted his 30 million and wanted to get out of it. He wanted to ask questions from the prosecutor to tell a story. He didn't want to answer cross-examination questions. So what he said at one point was, I was so annoying that I was asking all these questions, you know, God forbid, that I probe and ask him about his credibility and all his lies, that he literally told this jury he lied once because he was he just wanted to get out of here. He was sick of answering my questions, so he just told me a lie so he could leave. Of course, that doesn't make any sense, but literally that was a reason he told this jury why he did one of his lies. And so this jury, I saw the way they were looking at him. At one point, they stopped looking at him. You know, it's bad when a jury like is looking at a witness, and then at one point they just do this, and they won't even acknowledge the witness. And I saw that happening. I was like, okay, I don't need to go on, but I'm going to go on. I'm going to finish this guy, and I'm going to take him out completely. And you know, I did.
Yes. So you came out of the courtroom, and I'm sure were absolutely an onslaught of media and wannabe media people. That must be a good feeling to be able to get out there and sort of scream from the rooftops, no more gag order.
Yeah, no more gag order. I mean, the gag order was really ambiguous. At first, it was a gag order, then it really wasn't a gag order, and a gag order is not constitutional. There was only one portion of a sidebar that was a gag that was put under a gag order, something that the judge said to us that was placed under gag order, at least until the end of the trial. But out of respect for the judge, I'm going to honor that. I'm not even going to talk about what he said now. But there was no real gag order to begin with. But, you know, so look, at the end of the day, it was nice to get out there and sort of, you know, there were so many people that were like, he's crazy for not taking that plea. He's going to be found guilty. I mean, there were a few reporters that I specifically looked at and I said, you got that wrong. You got nothing right in this case. And because I don't read when I'm on trial, I do not read media reports. I don't read social media. None, because I don't need, again, to adjust my strategy based on what some, reporter who has no legal training or doesn't know, sees 5 minutes of testimony, then goes to another courtroom and writes up a story. I don't really follow that stuff. And I deliberately do not look at it during trial, but I would get fed stuff from Lisa, Kenny, or my son, Chris, or whatever. And so I'd see some things. I'd store it away. I wouldn't really focus on it, but I'd store it away for after the verdict. And I kept receipts. And when that verdict was done, I made sure to go find those people and remind them how off they were, how wrong they were. But it was great to go out there and really enjoy it. The only sad thing was when the verdict happened and, Rocky was, she was chokeholding me at one point. I started turning red. I was like, okay, I can't breathe. Can't breathe now. It was great, but I turned around to look at, the prosecutor and particularly Lewin, and they were gone. I was like, oh, I didn't get to say goodbye. So it was amazing how fast he got out of that courtroom, though. Normally, he had so much to say. That day, he had nothing to say, apparently.
Funny that. Like Matilda says, when you are truly innocent, why would you take a plea? To me, that spoke volumes. The fact that he didn't take it.
People didn't understand. I kept saying, well, he's not going to take a plea to assault with a semi-automatic weapon, not only because it would destroy his career or all this other, it's because he'd have to lie. He'd have to say, I'm guilty. He wouldn't do that. He's been telling me he's innocent from day one. So he couldn't take a plea. Yes.
No, it just goes to show that that Rocky is a man of conviction. He's not a pussy, right? Of course he's not. Of course he's going to stand his ground when he knows he.
Yep.
But still, I mean, potentially a risky move. I've got a couple of. I think I've got a question here. Oh, Nick wondered from the early part of our conversation, what made you decide to switch from being a prosecution attorney to a defense attorney?
I was sick of eating macaroni and cheese every night for dinner, and I had to pay off some student loans, and had to actually make some money. So no, that's not true. Part of it was a financial thing, right? I grew up fairly poor. I mean, never missed a meal. I was not homeless, but my parents were lower income people, and so I never really had a lot. They gave me all the opportunity I've ever needed. So. But on the other hand, I always wanted to be a defense lawyer. I loved I loved the concept of being a defense lawyer, of defending people's liberty. The first step towards that was learning the other side. So I had to be a prosecutor first. I wanted to understand how a prosecutorial mind thinks. So I wound up being deputy bureau chief of homicide in the Brooklyn DA's office. If you could imagine what that is, that's trying homicide cases, right? And then I went over and did some work in the U.S. Attorney's office. I was cross-designated for some cases. So it was great, but I really just always wanted to be a defense attorney. I mean, you get to cross-examine witnesses. You get to, defend people in matters of importance. And it was something that, to me, was all I wanted to do. It's prosecutors are supposed to win. They win 90+% of them. Yes. So, I like the challenge of being a defense attorney and what it's important for, what it stands for, protecting the rights of those, sometimes who can't even defend themselves, and I like that. Of course.
So then that's an interesting trajectory then, because you go from prosecution to then defense attorney. What does your journey look like to get to the point where you're defending Donald Trump or A$AP Rocky or Meek Mill? You've got some John Vandersloot. You've got some pretty high profile clients. Were there any big level ups, like meteoric steps in that journey, Joe?
Early on when I left the prosecutor's office, I got a big case of a police corruption case in New York. It was called the Mullen Commission, and they had all these police corruption cases in federal court. The United States government was indicting all these cops in New York for corruption, and some of those cops were my cops in the DA's office. So one of them hired me, and we had this big front page of the New York Times sort of press case, and in fact, it was a big case. It was like my first 3 months out of the DA's office. Wow. And I got an acquittal. The guy was found not guilty, and it was front page of the New York Times. So that was a hell of a start for me. Right. It was, part luck that I got that case. It's not because I was this great defense attorney. It's because I just had, that helped me. I then wound up doing some commentary on Court TV. And then I started doing a lot more commentary on court TV, and I got a gig on MSNBC as a part-time host. Then I became the Good Morning America legal correspondent. So for 2 years, I was the Good Morning America legal analyst. And then I started getting other cases. You know, you win one case and somebody comes. I was doing a lot of police officers in the beginning, and doing a lot of their cases, getting some good results for them. So, you know, that's just started happening, and then word of mouth travels pretty quickly. New York's a big city,
Yeah.
small city.
Right. And I was interested to see you were the correspondent for the Amanda Knox stuff.
Right.
Was that quite a wild thing to cover with the the two different cultures? But that's your origin. You know, you're Italian, right? So
Correct. Yeah. I'm Italian. I speak Italian, so I was able to go over there with the crew from ABC.
ABC, yes.
Yeah, and we did a whole series on that. You know, a series. We did a special on it, and spent quite some time there. But yeah, the Italian justice system is quite different. It's the Napoleonic Code. It's different. You're presumed guilty almost. You're held and detained until you prove you're innocent. It's like a whole different world. So it was interesting, but that was a trying episode, because then I became close with that family, with the Knox family, and then they asked me after I was done with my gig for ABC, I started consulting with them as a lawyer.
Oh, good. Okay, lovely. Because I when I did my little bit of research, all I saw was the correspondent. Now that makes more sense than simply reporting on it. That you can sort of advise on it. I saw back here somebody asked Drea, I think, weird questions. She says, but what has been your favorite trial? Where am I going to find it? I think she means that you've defended or prosecuted, and I guess one would assume.
Yeah, I mean, look, I could say the Rocky case because of all the elements that went into it, right? You had this client who I loved. I loved him and Rihanna. We've become very close over 3 years. They become like family to me.
Yes.
When that happens, obviously the stakes are raised, right? You feel very, very personally attached to them. You had the element of it, this prosecutor making this, a very personal thing. And he became one of the reasons I really wanted to make sure we won that case. And then, the fact that it was nationally televised. New York, we don't have televisions, cameras in the courtroom. So the fact that it was nationally televised, people, I didn't want that. I actually opposed it at first because I think people act differently. Okay, when there's cameras going. But at the end of the day, it turned out to be a good thing. And especially because a lot of people have heard what I do. They've heard my cross-examination skills. They've heard I'm one of the best cross-examiners. They've heard I give these very oratorical, very good moving summations. No one's ever seen it. Or the people who've been in the courtroom have seen it. That was a good chance for the nation, to see that stuff. And so
the world, Joe, the world, us here in Australia.
You guys, I mean, I'm here in Australia, but I'm saying all the lawyers and the judges, because since that's happened in the last week and a half, a lot of people have commented on that. A lot of people have come up to me, judges and other lawyers, and people have, got a lot of reach outs because they were actually able to visualize, they were able to see it. So that's one. But I got to tell you, there's a case, 3 years ago in Westchester, right? A guy named Kevin Holloway, who was accused of shaken baby syndrome. His 7-week-old baby died, and it was tragic. And he had 2 other kids and a wife, and they were a beautiful family. And this guy did nothing wrong. He literally, this baby had issues since birth. What they missed was they misdiagnosed a brain hematoma from birth. They missed brain trauma at birth. They missed it. And so what shaken baby syndrome is really, it's junk science. It's conclusion by exclusion. So in other words, a baby died of head trauma. He wasn't in a car accident. He didn't fall off a building. He didn't fall from his high chair. He must have been shaken. That's literally what they determined here. They did an autopsy. They saw some bleeding in the brain. That was it. They assumed that the father, and there was cameras inside the house, the father took him for night feeding, came out, the baby was fine. Then the baby came out, he was blue, and the father was going crazy. He's help, and he's called 911. They assumed that he got frustrated with the baby who was crying. It was a very agitated baby, and they assumed he just shook him. And he went to trial, and people were telling this guy to take a guilty plea. And that would be the end of his life. He'd be over. He wouldn't be able to see his kids. And he was facing life in prison. He decided he was going to trial. Okay. His wife stood behind him, as opposed to some spouses in those situations will say, like, you killed my baby, and turn. And we went to trial, and that was a war also. And that was a scary case for me because I knew this guy was innocent, and he was a beautiful guy. But those cases are very hard to win because there's such an emotional undertone, right? And so you have this. They showed pictures of a dead baby. I mean, come on. And I was like, is that really necessary? But they did, and they can't come up with another reason. They missed something from the autopsy from birth. And I got this medical examiner who works for the state, for Washington, D.C., the medical examiner there who works for the government. And I went to him because someone told me to look at him. And I went to him, I said, is this right? And he said, I have to do my own autopsy. I said, okay. So he was able to do it with the slides. And he said, no, they missed something. I'm like, will you please testify for me? He says, I'm a government employee. I said, some guy's life is on the line. Can you please testify in this case? And he did it. He was the best witness I've ever had. Kevin Holloway was acquitted, found not guilty. It was some local press and that, but it wasn't on Court TV, and it wasn't on Law and Crime. You weren't covering it. And it wasn't, in the New York Times, New York Post, TMZ. And we all went home afterwards. They went home to their family, reunited. Chad and I hugged, had a dinner, and we went to sleep. But that was also a case that meant a lot to me. I could give you about 10 more of those. Where these people aren't A$AP Rocky, they're not famous, but their lives were on the line. And those cases mean as much to me as any other case, including Rocky's case. So it's hard to say my favorite. My favorite's my most recent win, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, all those cases mean something to me.
So yeah, I can imagine, and I can imagine that defending someone who you know or as good as know, very strongly believe are factually innocent, that must be quite a heavy burden. Literally somebody's life is on the line and in your hands for those days or weeks of trial.
Look, if there's one thing about my job that really wears me out is that. I mean, I've represented my share of truly innocent people. And I will tell you, that is some burden that you just can't even imagine. And I've had cases where Kevin was one of them. Another one, it's a guy named Ken Franks, a beautiful guy who we had an acquittal 20 years ago, in June something. Every day in June, whatever, June 19th, the family sends me this beautiful email every year. For 20 years, they've never missed. And it's always a different email. It's just a thanks, a gratitude, and update on their family and stuff like that. And this guy was another guy who was told to take 7 years in jail, and it was a horrible case, but he was acquitted. Those cases, like if he were convicted, if Kevin was convicted, Kevin Holloway was convicted, I always said to myself, how would I go on? It's hard to go on. It's hard to think about going on. And I know I have to keep fighting the good fight, and I will. But when you're standing next to someone who you know is innocent and they're convicted and their life is basically over, their family's destroyed too, it is it's tough. It's tough to think about. Fortunately, I got to be honest with you. Fortunately, I've never been in a position where I've had someone that I believe to be truly innocent get convicted. So it's good.
So can I ask you then, on the flip side of that, obviously it's not wise for a defense attorney to ask their clients, did you do it? Best just not to know, because if you're going to defend them. So I don't want any names or dates, but have there been clients who you've defended who you were like, they're probably guilty, and then they've got off? And did that make you feel differently about things, or are you just happy you've done your job?
No, because the system has to work, okay, for everyone.
Yes. Yeah.
And if someone is guilty, look, I'm not the judge and the jury and the execution, right? We all have our roles. The prosecutor has their role. That's to present the evidence within the constitutional guidelines, within the boundaries of the law. My job is to challenge that evidence, to make sure the constitutional safeguards, the guardrails are in place, that the cops didn't cheat, that someone's not lying, that someone did do something wrong, that the person, the citizen accused, whoever they are, is getting a fair shake, because it protects all of us. Right. And people have a tough time understanding that. And they like, how can you represent someone guilty? Well, so what do? We determine that if they're guilty, they don't get representation. The system breaks. There's a case. I don't know there's a movie called Jewel. It's about Richard Jewell. It's a great movie if no one's ever seen it, especially if you're interested in the criminal justice system. It was a very famous case. It's called Jewel. It's a very famous case about the 1980, I think, Olympic bomber, Richard Jewell. Okay? and he was a guy that was accused. He was a security guard at the Atlanta Olympics. He was accused of being basically, in this plot or conspiracy to bomb the Olympics, and he was closest to the bomb that exploded, the explosion. And I'm trying to look up the movie exactly, but anyway, it's he was closest to the bomb. He was accused of being the bomber. The FBI was all over him. They shredded him. They basically perp walked him. They did all these things. He was this sort of heavy guy, little chubby, round guy who just wanted to be a cop all his life, and he never could pass the test. So he became a security guard. He lived with his mother, and Richard Jewell was falsely accused of this. His life was destroyed. After his life was destroyed, the FBI then came around and said, "Oh, we got the wrong guy. He was actually trying to help. He was actually going to get that bag and trying to move it." But they made assumption after assumption that was wrong. There was not a person in the United States of America who gave this guy the benefit of the doubt. He was on the front page of every paper called the Olympic Bomber. He was actually called, and they started making fun of, we had Ted Kaczynski in America, the Unabomber, the guy who lived in the cabin in Montana, right? This genius who lived in the cabin in Montana and was sending corporate CEOs bombs. They called him the Unabomber. After that was Richard Jewell, and to make fun of him, they called him the Uniblubber.
Dear.
So in newspapers would call him the Uniblubber. And so it was one of the saddest things I've ever seen. And subsequently, it ruined his life. He died soon after the FBI, came around and said, and I saw one of your people coming in hard on this one. I see all the comments, but then FBI never apologized to him, and someone just wrote that, and it's true. But he died. He died of a broken heart. I mean, he died of a broken heart. Like, his life was over, and it was really sad. So when I saw that movie, it invigorates me. It makes me remember why I went to law school, because some people I'm representing may be guilty. Maybe it's the worst 10 minutes of their good life. Maybe people are great. Yep. Like, I don't think any of us want the worst 10 minutes of our entire life filmed. Okay. And so as long as I'm not suborning perjury, as long as I'm not putting forth false evidence, I'm doing my job. And my job is challenging the evidence, making sure the police have done their job, didn't cut corners because we think someone's guilty. Because when you start cutting corners because you think someone's guilty, because this guy's guilty, we don't have to follow all these constitutional rules, and we could just do this. We could just get the phone records. We don't have to go through the court process. That's when innocent people start getting clipped and innocent people start getting hurt. So I take that very seriously.
Can I then, that's a good segue to your thoughts on the Karen Reed trial, version 2 coming. Do you have any thoughts?
I don't know enough about it. I've seen it. I mean, it seems to be a case. Look, I'm one of your viewers. By the way, you have some terrific viewers, because I'm watching some of the comments. People know what they're talking about on your.
Yes, we're a very informed community. Absolutely.
I saw someone saying I pounded reasonable doubt in this case, and I did. Johnny Cochran and I, and Johnny, after the OJ case, Johnny came to New York and opened up a firm there. And for some reason, he plucked me. I was just out of the prosecutor's office. He plucked me out of obscurity and decided he was going to mentor me. And so I didn't know why, but he heard I was a tenacious litigator and someone who was pretty good on my feet. So he just picked me, Johnny, and we had a 3-year relationship before he moved back to California, before he got sick. And he and I would do things like just write reasonable doubt summations and write portions. And I used the thing that Johnny and I wrote in this summation at the end, the reasonable doubt thing. So I normally do a reasonable doubt stuff in the beginning of the summation because it's so important, because we don't walk around every day and say, well, is that true beyond a reasonable doubt? Or someone tells you, you're talking with your friend, you're trying to gauge whether it's something they're saying is truthful or not, right? To me, it's like, you don't say, oh, was that true beyond a reasonable doubt? That's not something we talk about in our daily life. So I had to explain to this jury twice. Once in the beginning of my summation, where I talk about what a reasonable doubt is and isn't. Then at the end, I spent 15 minutes talking about what a reasonable doubt is. And then I compared it to the other parts of the law. And I see someone saying it was hardly mentioned. I guess they missed that part of the summation, because what I did was talk about the law and how it's reasonable doubt is important, but I compared it to the other things like the civil cases where it's mere preponderance of the evidence. And I said, that doesn't count here. Mere preponderance of the evidence is you could render someone penniless. You could bankrupt somebody. You could do from start to finish. You could destroy them. You could take property from them. That's 51% to 49%. That's mere preponderance of the evidence. That's important stuff. But we only need preponderance of the evidence to be able to render someone penniless. The next standard of law, the next highest standard is clear and convincing evidence, which is a big standard because you could take away someone's child in America under clear and convincing evidence, right? Clear and convincing evidence is a high standard. A parent could be rendered unfit to take care of a child with clear and convincing evidence. Clear and convincing evidence, Lisa, is not enough to convict a human being in the United States of America of a crime.
No.
Okay? So we'll talk about Chris being part of the case. I see Sheriff. Chris was insane in this case. He was actually our best investigator. No, he was crazy what he did in this case. He actually was a big help. And then I said to them, so you can take a child away with clear and convincing evidence. That's not enough to convict you of a crime. I said, here, it's the highest standard the law permits, which is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. It's up here compared to all the other stuff. And and then I went through what a reasonable doubt is not. It's not he may have committed the crime. It's not he probably committed the crime. It's not he likely committed the crime. It's not I'm almost certain he committed the crime. I'm almost certain he committed the crime is not enough.
Isn't good enough. No.
I'm almost certain he committed the crime is not guilty. I have no reason to doubt he committed the crime. That is such a high standard. And I hammered that at the end of my summation. I touched on it in the beginning. I hammered it at the end. And because this was a reasonable doubt case. It really was. And so
yes.
That jury, when I spoke to 5 jurors, they all said within 1 minute we voted 11-1 because we had a reasonable doubt. And I was so happy to hear that because
yes,
they didn't know if it was a real gun or a prop gun. How do you know? Because there's no evidence one way or another. Lewin said there's no evidence of a prop gun. I said, well, there's a hell of a lot less evidence that it's a real gun than it was a prop gun. I mean, there'd be bullet wounds, there'd be damage to cars, there would be shell casings that the cops find, there would be other things, and you have none of that. So, look, the bottom line is a reasonable doubt, is something that would stop a case, even if you think someone's guilty. And this jury didn't even get there. They voted 11-1 walking into that room, and that was a great thing.
Absolutely. And so give us a little bit of the inside scoop on Chris and his invaluable input into the case.
So Chris, my son, he works for the Florida Panthers in the NHL, the NHL hockey team in Florida, in Sunrise, Florida, in Fort Lauderdale. And he's always been interested in what I do, but he never got to see it. He never saw me on trial, right? Because it's not televised. I mean, when I had another televised trial, but he was a baby. And he was like all of a sudden shooting ideas with me every day. And at first I was like, okay, thanks, Chris. Yeah, we got that. Until he started coming with ideas, I was like, wait a minute. Like there was parts of that summation that were written by Chris, which is I'm not embarrassed to say. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. 120 jury trials. Chris gave me, Chad, my partner, Chad Siegel's a genius. He's been with me 24 years. We all sat there and were like, Rocky at one point started getting into this. He was like, did Chris send you any messages today? Rocky was like, did Chris send any messages? Because what Chris found was a few things, like the argument about, he didn't have a prop gun in the house, right, to protect himself. So why would he have a prop gun? Well, Chris is like, well, you carry a prop gun to deter violence, to deter attackers. Once they're inside the house, you're not deterring would-be attackers. They are attackers. So a prop gun deters would-be attackers. That's why he was carrying that thing for a 6-month period. Obviously, it didn't work. Inside the house, he had registered guns that were registered to him. Doesn't need to keep a prop gun inside the house, right? So those were his registered. And this was 6 months after the incident where he already got rid of the prop gun. So their argument was, well, he didn't have any prop guns in the house, so therefore, but Chris said, well, Dad, they're not would-be attackers once they're inside the house anymore. They are attackers. I'm like, oh, good point. So we put that into the summation. We put in, oh, that's a nice one. Neither Joe or Chad look like lawyers for 24 years. I love that much more than that is, but they're wrong, really wrong. But Chris then came up with the Dunkin' Donuts thing. Like this guy said at 11 o'clock at night, he went to Dunkin' Donuts to get a bag to put the bullets in. Chris goes, sir, he says, Dad, there's no Dunkin' Donuts open past 9 o'clock in Los Angeles. I was like, what? So we were like, holy cow. So we went subpoenaing Dunkin' Donuts all over the place. Then, so that was all Chris. But the coup de grace, the big one Chris came with was, that whole nonsense about what I call the mini series of perjury
Yes.
series of perjury from Reli, where he first said he never shot a gun before November 6th, ever, because he had his gun license, November 6th, 2021. Then I said, I want to really make sure he understood what I was talking about here. I want to give him an out. I said, how about at a shooting range? Did you at least shoot a gun in a shooting range before November 6th? No, absolutely not. And I said, you sure? I said, absolutely not. And he got mad at me. He was like, you heard me. Absolutely not. Boom, videotape. So November 19th. Boom, 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 boom. Lewin, the funny part is Lewin goes, how do we know that's him? On cue, in the videotape, as Lewin's saying that in front of the jury, of course, which he shouldn't be doing. How do we know that's him? Reli turns around, you see his face. I was like, there you go. Thanks for clearing that up. So he was shooting guns, 9mm, by the way, semi-automatic guns in a shooting range 2 weeks before the shooting, after he said he never did that. That was real powerful evidence. But, they're saying that shooting range was maybe in New Jersey, wherever it was. No one knew where it was because the metadata wasn't there. So they're saying, well, it doesn't matter because he flew out of Los Angeles and he flew back to Los Angeles on the 3rd of November. So he couldn't have taken shell casings with him on a plane. So therefore, it's irrelevant that he did that. It would only be relevant if that shooting range was in Los Angeles, right? Then it would be, right? So, but we had no idea to know where, based on the metadata, where that shooting range was. Prosecutors didn't even know he was at a shooting range, even though it was their evidence that they gave us. We actually went through the phone of
yeah, wow,
right. Then Chris freaks out. He sent me all these messages, and he's calling me. I'm like, "What, Chris? I'm prepping for the cross." He goes, "No, Dad, the shooting range is in Los Angeles." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "The Reli shooting range is in Los Angeles." I'm like, "How do you know, Chris?" I went online. I looked at every shooting range in Los Angeles. There's a video from Reli, and then you see the pictures of the Los Angeles Shooting Club. It's the same range. And I was like, "You're kidding me?" And
he's good.
Like, oh my God. I jumped in my car. I ran down to the Los Angeles Shooting Gun Club in downtown, like a minute from the courthouse, by the way. I showed the guy, the manager. I go, "Is this your place?" He's like, "Yeah, that's here. That's booth number 7 right there." I'm like, I said, "Great." Records for who was here, and he has records. And that was the beginning of the end for this guy, because then he came back, and then someone else after that subsequently posted, "Hey, by the way, that's in Los Angeles." And they posted that on Instagram and tagged Reli, which caused him to then subsequently call the prosecutor and say, "Oh, I was thinking about it. I went through my phone and I was, yeah, sure." Like 1 minute after that post hit his Instagram, he called the prosecutor. So we just shredded him on that. And that was Chris. I mean, so yeah, he had a blast. He was great. And he really did some great investigative work for us. So, and he was happy.
Was it because it was ASAP Rocky? Or
No.
why do you think
He always wants to talk to me about my cases. But he just never got to see it. So, the Trump case he asked me about when I was on Meek's trial, he asked me, we're doing those arguments there. He always is interested, but it's different when you're just hearing it from me or you're reading a news summary. That's most of the time not awesome. So, yeah.
So actually you mentioned Meek Mill, and I saw in your bio Neo as well. And you were voted in the top 100 power players in 2018 of Billboard's most influential people. And now obviously known as, ASAP Joe. We have a whole merch range that's ASAP Joe. I know you know. How is it turning in those circles of, rappers and stuff?
I've been
artists.
But I've been representing them for a long time, all of them. It's not like now they know me, but Meek, Foxy Brown back in the day, the guy from Onyx, Sticky Fingers, the Wu-Tang Clan, members of the Wu-Tang I've represented, Meek, YG, there's more, Neo, as you just said. So there's others. And so it's been, but so now the ASAP Joe moniker stuck, obviously. So Rocky did me a favor, I guess, with that one. So he's having fun with it. They're having fun with it. And there's a mural in Harlem where Rocky's from. There's a picture of Rocky and Rihanna on it. And over it is a big hashtag ASAP Joe. So in Harlem, on the corner of 126 and Lenox. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, have you've seen it in person? I'd love you to take a photo. I'd love to see that.
Up there. I'm not there.
Yeah. No. Oh, well, I'm sure it's somewhere. Now let me see. I think I've got a few more questions, and we've gone well over time because you said half an hour, and we're on an hour.
I'm gonna let you do some questions, but you got to give me 1 second because
yes, of course.
The boys room, we're gonna have a problem.
Yeah, of course. Well, chat. hang on. Chat. Oh my God. Gonna have a vape quickly. Quick, think of questions. Quick, think of questions, chat. Tell us about Harvard, Joe. Would love to hear about that. I will start that one for you, Sav. Good question. Question for Joe. Do you play any sports? Lovely. I'll star that. Nick, that's not surprising at all. Nick has no idea who these people are. It is very cool. I wish we could all go and see that. Very cool. He's got to use the Nosy Rosie. We're not thinking about it. Everybody's got to go to the bathroom sometimes. Colors. Very cool. What is his fitness regime? Yes, Nick, I'll ask. Thank you, life artist. Thank you. Thank you. Shh, be cool, man. Be cool. We've all got to be cool. Ask him about the Trump case. I don't know enough about it. I will. I can. Stormy Daniels. He might not want to talk about it. Oh, shh, chat. Be cool. He's back.
I heard every word he was saying, by the way. I'm not in my place. This is a facility. I'm borrowing someone's room here. So I was doing a visit at a facility for something. And
damn it, Joe. We were trying to be so professional.
Yeah, yes, I do play sports. I played sports. I played college hockey. I had a college hockey scholarship. I was a wrestler, New York State wrestling champ. So, and done it all. Yeah, sports has been part of my educational process, part of my life. I still play. I'm an active skier. Did some ski racing. So yeah, sports. I do training now, urban combat training, which is basically street fighting training. So yeah, sports is much part of the educational process as, academics. It helps, and it's basically, it helped prepare me for what I do for a living. So,
yes.
Yep.
Discipline, focus,
Correct.
goal setting, working towards things. So, but obviously you lift, you go to the gym and lift weights as well. Nick Francis, my good friend of the channel, has been, Nick was very surprised that ladies found a statuesque back, a V taper, something that was attractive, not to put you on the spot, but Nick was very surprised. He said, oh, really? I better start training my back. So,
Because that camera is right behind me. I think that's why, but,
oh yes, Joe. Oh yes.
So no, I do 5 days a week of very intense resistance training, which is weight training. I do it primarily to failure. I do resist. Well, you were a competitive, obviously, athlete, so you know that.
Yes.
But I do it to failure. I do, I mix it up every 3 months. I'll change my routine, but I do weight training to failure, and then I do a little stuff with the treadmill, but not fast. I do an incline. It's a very steep incline, like the 50-degree
incline all the way, Joe.
Not too fast, but I do that, and that's it. And then I do fighting. I've hit heavy bags. I'm a big believer in the heavy bag. Just that alone for the upper body is incredible, and it's also good for cardiovascular stuff.
And also good for your mental health, I'm sure, to be able to get out any sort of stuff.
Well, actually, my
on
heavy
the
bag
bags.
now, I put a picture of Lewin right on the heavy bag. I'm just keep hitting that thing. It's amazing how much harder I hit it. So,
Oh, speaking of Lewin, Jason Hodges wonders, did Judge Arnold sanction Lewin for those speaking objections? Has
Yeah,
there
he
actually been any?
he was tolling him up, but I don't know whatever happened to it because Lewin got out of there pretty quickly. So, I don't know. I don't really care about that.
Matilda noticed in your closing that you said anyway after the crazy speaking objections. That was funny. Some of your facial expressions as you walked away from either the witness stand or like there was one time I think it was Reli when you walked away and just like he was like, oh, Lord, give me strength. It was great.
And, I didn't realize. I really didn't know I was on TV. I mean, I knew it, but I didn't know it. In other words, when I'm up there could be a fire behind me and I wouldn't know it. I am so zoned in. Like when I'm up there, I'm not thinking, oh, there's a television camera behind me. So I'm not playing to that. I'm just doing what I do in every case. So those faces are just my faces. But yeah, I was losing my mind with Lewin with the objections. And finally the judge said, overruled. And then he was doing a speaking objection. And then the judge started chastising him for speaking during my summation. And I was like waiting for them to finish and the judge finished. And I was like, anyway, so what I was saying was like, and it was just me just trying to get back to where I was.
Right. Like get your mind back zoned in.
Yeah. But it was some of the jurors smiled when I did that. Like they thought it was pretty humorous. And
Yes, like it's relatable when you're not just being they're in the courtroom with you. It's a whole thing. Everybody, they can feel the vibe, and like your vibe would be like, oh, this guy Lewin. Oh,
it was my vibe.
goodness. Now wait, actually, this might seem a random question, but we had a discussion in another. I was a guest on another channel, Publicly Buzzed, last night, and we had this whole discussion about what do you think a hot minute means, Joe? What do you? If someone says, "I haven't seen Joe Tacopina in a hot minute," what does that mean to you?
A substantial length of time, I guess.
Thank you. That was the general consensus. They wanted me to ask. I'm like, sure, I'll ask Joe Tacopina that. No worries.
I don't really use that vernacular, but in the use that's
But
what,
people do. Yes, exactly.
yeah.
No. Let me see. I think maybe it means a long time. Thanks, Colors. Colors was very much adamant that opposite of a New York minute, perhaps.
Correct.
That's a very fast minute.
That's a very fast.
There you go. Well, Joe, thank you so much. I've taken up more than twice the amount of time you allocated me, so I really appreciate it.
You guys are great.
It's been a lovely chat. I think we'll all just be floating on Mr. Flexback. I mean, Joe Tacopina air from now on.
I like the merch. You have some pretty good merch going on out there, Lisa. So
yes,
so
we do. We have a whole Joe Tacopina in brackets Mr. Flexback collection. So if you would, anybody would like to check it out, Joe's got a whole bunch of those things. There's ASAP Joe caps, all things. Maiden from the UK says, please come back, Joe. We'd love to talk to you again at some point.
Anytime you guys want, just give me a shout. I don't mind
Lovely.
this at all. You guys are really terrific people, really nice. And I really do appreciate the support during this thing. I told Rocky about it. He's actually tuned in and watched some of these things. I'd send him clips. So he was really fascinated by it.
Goodness.
Really thank you guys for the support also. So it was it's been great to have guys like you who really, understand the importance of what we do and why it's important not to be, it's so easy to presume people guilty. And everyone is, so quick to come to that conclusion. People thought we were crazy for going to trial here, but at the end of the day, we had the last laugh. Thank God.
Thank God. Congratulations. You go and do your Saturday night thing. And I think everybody's going to have a debrief here in Camp Shorty now. So excuse us, Mr. Flexback. I mean, Mr. Tacopina. Thank you so much. Mwah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Chat. He heard everything we were saying when he was in the toilet, in the bathroom. Good night. Amazing. We're not going anywhere. Don't worry. We've got to do some debriefing. Best guess ever, says Nick. Nick, you're lucky I didn't tell Joe that you didn't know who A$AP Rocky was. Great job, Lisa. You killed it. Thank you. Let's just all take a moment. Do all your thirsting now. Put your flex backs, your thirst traps. Do it all. I'm just going to have to probably do double vapes because I can't vape in front of Joe Tacopina. That was great. Effing professional. Thank you, Joey. Mrs. Ash, good to see you. We're doing we'll probably bring it forward a little bit, but we've got a Karen Reid stream up next too. If you all want to know, we're doing, I'm going to take these bad boys out. We're going to do top 10 lying McLiars in the Karen Reid trial. Hey, chat. Thank you for being here. Wow. You know what? Also, chat, there was a whole bunch of times when I saw 69 people watching. We haven't done 69 for a while in our chat. Lol. I would have to watch that trial if I knew he was the attorney. It made it bearable, Christine. The sound in the courtroom was mono, for starters, horrendous. It was quite the opposite of in terms of the conduct of the attorney, of the district attorney, the ADA, Mr. Lewin or Lewiner. You were so well behaved. Thank you so much. I'll even call you motion to scream. What the fuck? Thanks. I go, all right, look how I even look profesh. Matilda is really happy right now. He loves your merch, Matilda, our merch. Do you want to have a look at the merch? And then we've got some, we'll just do some debriefing. Wait, I've got so many tabs open. That should be merch. Hang on, give me a second. Are we sharing a tab? I don't even know. Thank God I didn't do any of this bullshit. Oh my goodness, chat. I almost sneezed. I had a sneeze going for about 4 minutes. I've never sneezed in a live stream before in my life. Thanks, universe. I appreciate you. Wait, oh, not that one. Oh, yeah, it is that. Can you see this? No. Here, we're going to go together. We're going to Miss Shorty, missshorty.com, and then we'll go to Matilda. Amazing website. Thank you so much. Teamwork makes the dream work, girl. And Joey. Thanks, Joey. Here we go. Share this tab instead. You can't see this yet. Okay, so here we are. Just a reminder, if you, any super chat, super stickers, buy me a coffee, make sure you can see, because sometimes I don't do that very well. Anything, PayPal me /Camp Shorty, buy me a coffees. Wait, here, let's what the Attorney Joe Tacopina, Mr. Flexback collection. Oh, wait, we got tumblers. We got fiercest. Here, let's look at this. These are US dollars that are showing on screen. Oh, here we go. Watch me. Wait. One of the nation's fiercest high stakes criminal and civil attorneys, ASAP Joe. Right? Hang on. Back. Just you can walk and talk in real time while I. But look, there's so many things. There's ASAP Joe tights, a Flexback tumbler. Can you see this? This is cool. Matilda and I together. Well, she found this screenshot, Matilda, and then it was a bit blurry. And I was like, how about you make it a line drawing? Like court drawings, yeah? Like in New York. And then no speaking objections. And then it says, anyway. Did you like how I put that one in there for you, Matilda? That's kind of cool, huh? Yes, 69. Thank you. The trial was ridiculous, and Joe was so great to watch. He made a kind of like it would have been entertaining, but he was good to watch on many levels, right? I do love also the fact that his son had a part in this. But I was talking. If you any super chats, buy me coffees, any of those things, every weekend we'll go into the draw to be drawn the next weekend for once a month. It'll be anything off the merch store, and every other time like a t-shirt or a mug or something. Look, ASAP Joe, cool caps, huh? ASAP Joe shorts. My goodness. Look, ASAP Joe joggers. I need one of all of these. Turn around. There, ASAP Joe, ASAP Flexback shorts. Look at these. There's an Adidas hoodie or two. There's a polo, an embroidered polo. Chat. Look, Adidas hoodies, Adidas polos. Bloody amazing. I think this is why he chose Camp Shorty. We had merch. No, he didn't know we had merch until I told him. And the range has grown. Chat. So Holly Street won first prize yesterday. We drew last night, and Holly won first prize, and she chose there's not just Flexback stuff. Anyway, have a look. That was such a good conversation. It was so natural. That's how I like to interview motion to scream. What the fuck? Oh, thank you. I did some ironing. I ironed my shirt. Put my official glasses on. Thank you so much, Amber. Shanwan, did you get up in time? You are such a professional. Thank you. So much love in the room in here. And best chat, best mods, best community. I'll die on that hill. Don't breathe through your nose. I was like, my nostrils are very small. I've got a broken nose. And all I could think was the irony of, well, man, I've never sneezed on a live stream ever before. I don't want to sneeze with Joe Flexback. I can't go turn my camera off.
Well.
Joey, it's on loop. It's on loop. Jesus Christ, Joey. Do you want a song, chat? I think we need like a song to like, What are we going to do? Let me get. This wouldn't have happened without Joey and Matilda getting the website up in the nick of time. I can't talk. Yes, Joey had the groundwork laid, the paperworky shit, like the domain name organized for the website and stuff. And then Matilda and I have together. Well, I haven't done much. I just have a list, a laundry list of things I want. Sort of. We work together. I genuinely didn't think he was paying attention to the chat. Well, Jim Cox. Everybody loves Cox, Jim. You would be in the minority, Jim. Just saying. Grass is green enough, says Mr. Tacopina. That's very respectful, by the way. Thank you. If you're still watching this live stream, such a great interview. Thank you. Ah, Moon Goddess. Best interview ever. Thanks, darling. I'm kind of happy with it. Kind of cool. You guys were so amazing. You were so well behaved also. I'm so proud of you. Here, let me write your name down on the list, yeah? On the raffle list. I'm old school. I need to get a remarkable. I'm kind of busy. Yes. Yes. Oh, Shandwan. Hi. Shandwan. ×2. Yeah, baby. Easy peasy. I got to get a polo. Same. 10 out of 10, Lisa. Thank you. Holly says, yes, I sure did. I did snuck one vape because I saw that Joe was looking down with his peak of his cap. I was like, and I looked at you all, I went, hell yeah, give us a song. Thank you, Shandwan. Wait, what am I doing with my life? So many questions. Let's just pick a song. Anybody? There's new ones, there's old ones, whatever you like. We'll take it off loop because yikes. And hear this.
I'll take any motherfucker's money if he giving it away. Shit.
I can't have a wine now, Sherry. I had a wine, unfuckwithable. Okay. You like it? Actually, that's kind of relevant. Yeah? Let's do it. I can't have a wine. I had wine last night on Feral Friday, publicly buzzed and chat. I shouldn't drink while I'm streaming. It was a big one. That's what she said. Yes, we have a That's What She Said t-shirt too. Oh, design. So cool. Where is it? You for, oh no, it's called The Fray. Here we go. A couple of minutes. Enjoy. Go and get a drink. Go and use the restroom.
Brave but scared, truth revealed. Does any of this matter? Fate, it's sealed. The battlefield. Step now into the fray. Twisting and turning, inevitable. Resets and yearning, unfuck with the ball. Follow your instinct, your intuition. Deceit and betrayal, they orbit the sun. Humans, we are perplexing. Wonder about all that flaxing. Remind me again how we came to be friends. Your presence is just so vexing. Twisting and turning, inevitable. Resets and yearning, unfuck with the ball. Follow your instinct, your intuition. Deceit and betrayal, they orbit the sun. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. No, you are not like me. 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6. Battle isn't coming. 7, 8, and 9, and 10. 'Cause hell, here we go again. Twisting and turning, inevitable. Resets and yearning, unfuck with the ball. Follow your instinct, your intuition. Deceit and betrayal, they orbit the sun. Peace is the goal, we bearing our soul. Tyranny and projection. So who will it be if it isn't me? Fate, it's sealed. The battlefield. Step now into the fray. Twisting and turning, inevitable. Receipts and yearning, unfuck with the bow. Follow your instinct, your intuition. Defeat and betrayal, they orbit the sun. It's sealed, the battlefield. Step now into the fray.
Yikes. Good choice. What the fuck? Good choice. I've changed the start time for our next stream. I've pulled it back to 10 or my time, 10:35. So 10 minutes. We'll hang around for a little bit longer and then we'll head over there. There's a portal already set up. Yes, Princey said she got her mug. Princey, how is it? Tell us how it is. Joey's like Superman. We need ASAP Joe cape in the merch store. Are you going to buy one? Can someone buy one? Yes. 15 ounces mug. Yes, buy the big one. I bought big ones too. I like the big mugs. Yes. So we have 10 lying McLiar moments or liars from the Karen Reid trial. Quality, please. Wait. I might have put the wrong one in the portal. Exquisite quality. Fantastic. So the printing is good, Princey? That's good to know. I've just changed the scheduling now, Amber. It might show up now on the tubes. I just changed it to 4:35 should be on yours. What about an ASAP Joe robe, Nick? That's a really good idea. Like a satin robe? Hi, Cheryl. Good to see you. Thank God. Okay, the portal is ready. Yes, Nick. That's what she said. Yes, that's what she said, merch there. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, mods. Thank you, chat. I don't know about this hair. It's a bit fuzzy, but I was in a bit of a rush. It's amazing. I sat down backstage at like 7 minutes to. Who even am I? Like a boxing robe. Yes. Right? What the fuck, Nick? Only if you model the robe. Yikes. In the foxhole, Nick. Wait, we've got to get some stuff out of our system before we go to serious Karen Reid stuff. Yikes. Can we be serious? I can. I'm a fucking professional. I was a bit concerned that he'd listen to our intro song and go, oh my God, who are these unclassy people?
Shorty, swing my way. Swing it over here, shorty.
And then I thought he'd probably think,
It's not a deal breaker, but I'd like to know. Thank you.
Nick, we have got your sound bites. We just haven't loaded them up yet. We have some more Nick sound bites. Boxing shorts, satin robes. No, it has to be one of those thick plush robes. Yikes. He's definitely a shorty. Maybe we should send him some actual shorty merch. I'm dreaming of Rihanna wearing the bold and mysterious Miss Shorty jacket, like the college jacket that's in black with 69 on the back. Imagine. Plus singing my songs. Maybe. Joe said he likes us. I can't believe it. I know, right? Chat. Wild, huh? We need I'm a fucking professional merch. We do. I've told this story before, but Matilda was like, she said to me a week or so ago, I feel like maybe we should limit the number of things in the range, the amount of items on the merch store. I'm like, no. What we'll do is we'll have as many as we possibly can, and we'll just organize them well so they're easy to find. Meg P says, I'm so late. Hello, everyone. Meg, you'll need to watch the replay, but that's okay. It's well worth it. What an amazing chat. What an amazing conversation. I go all right as an interviewer, huh? And they call me an irresponsible creator. Get the fuck out of here. Yes. So, what do we got? Time to go to the bathroom. The white jacket also, yes. It'll be on loop for you. We'll do some clips. We'll clip some stuff too as well. We, the royal we. No, I'll do it. God, poor Joey. He's so busy. He's spinning in circles with it all. Thanks, man. Thanks, Carlene. I love interviewing. That's what where I started, is interviewing. We only started going to all those tabs up the top of my screen when I kind of didn't have any more interviews to do every week. So Joe was so interesting. I loved all his answers and stories. Yes, he's a very good storyteller, isn't he? Very animated, very passionate in everything he spoke about. So, oh my God, Simi, my phone's almost dead. Charge that shit, man. All right. Shall we go out with Chat is Bay? Because Chat is Bay. Thank you, mods. Thank you, shorties. Well, oh, wait, I forgot to. I knew this and I didn't. Hold up. This. God, rude. I'm so sorry, Maiden. It was in the middle of the song and I made a mental note that didn't happen. Welcome. And gorgeous, you're going on the draw for next week. So, yay. Thank you for becoming a shorty. Well, we're all shorties, but like a shorty member shorty. Thanks everyone for the questions, for the enthusiasm. See you on the next one. I love your faces. Chat is absolutely. Hey, wait, I'm going to do one more thing. Wait, I'm going to change the color of the background. Fuck. I didn't even swear once. Did you notice, chat? I got right. Should we do that? Yes. Chat is Bay. Mwah. Love you very, very much.
I love you all so very much. We had a blast just chatting and stuff. Things may have gone bit off the rails. Professional when all else fails. 'Cause chat is babe, so much to say. Emotes and all the caps out. May have been cheese, bit faster please. The time has come, Camp Shorty out. We're skating through all the tough things, learning about this and that, defense motions, prosecution, and narcissistic twats. 'Cause chat is babe, so much to say. Emotes and all the all caps out. May have been cheese, bit faster please. The time has come, Camp Shorty out. Community, just you and me. Occasionally, Buster and Poppy. It's a whole thing, Miss Shorty swing. Together we make each other happy. 'Cause chat is babe, so much to say. Emotes and all the caps out. May have been cheese, bit faster please. The time has come, Camp Shorty out. I love you all